Oskar, thank you very much. Congratulations again on the gold medal at the World Championship after, of course, the gold medal at the Olympics and the bronze medal in mixed doubles at the Olympics. And what a crazy year. Your thoughts on this season?
Oh, it's been crazy. What a ride. Just winning that gold medal as a team. Incredible feeling. Not really sure I've taken it all in yet, but winning Worlds after makes it a little bit easier, I think.
Yeah, well, we're going to get in all kinds of stuff here, but getting here to Toronto for the Players' Championship, I was talking to Nick before your final in Vegas, and he had mentioned something about Sunday night having to take a red eye someplace and then get here. Oh, anyway, how did you get here from Vegas?
Normal tickets to Toronto were sold out when we started looking, so had to take the red eye through Houston, Texas, and then back up here to Toronto.
People that know the geography here, from Vegas, it is not. You don't go through Houston to get to Toronto easily. So then you got here like let's see, Sunday night the final was. So you got here Monday
early afternoon,
and you play Tuesday afternoon. Only 24 hours later,
ready to go,
full of energy, ready to go. Let's talk about the crazy times a little bit. In terms of winning all you've won, and just engagements, things you've got to do. Have you even had time to start doing speaking engagements and that type of thing yet?
Not really. We haven't been home for more than a couple of weeks after the Olympics, since we had to go play Swedish Nationals, World Championships, and now this. So haven't really had the time being home and plan all that stuff.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of wondering about that with Sweden and curling in Sweden. Like, you guys obviously are extremely famous in Sweden now, and to maybe expand the sport and be able to speak at various schools and really promote the game. Is that a plan of your team, like you and Nick and Rasmus and Christopher?
Maybe not just for our team, more for like Swedish curling. I think it's great if we can try to grow it, and we would love to be a part of it, like getting new kids to start curling. We have a few, especially on the women's side or the girls' side, that are really up and coming. They're going to play the World Juniors in Sweden, so I think the future looks pretty good, and hopefully this gold medal will bring more kids to curling.
Well, I'm sure it will, actually, and that's great to hear. When it comes to setting up teams, so you get a bunch of kids involved in the game, which is great. I guess in Sweden, how does it work as far as junior teams would get together as a team? How do you build a team? Because you were a junior champ as well. How does that work? And then going up from junior, does that national body kind of pick the team, or how does that work in your country?
It's pretty much up to yourself, unless you have a coach or like someone in the club running things. But usually it's just the individuals. You find a team that you like, or group of friends from school. If you're lucky, you can do that. For me, it was just I started through family, and a few guys in the same age group started pretty much the same time. So started playing with them, and then the years gone by, and just try to be on a good team as possible.
Something that our team did, and I don't know if yours does, goal setting before. For example, now after this season is done, after your next couple of Grand Slam events, Players in the Champions Cup, you set yourself maybe for the next 4 years. Is that something that your team does, is sets goals for yourself along the way?
Yes. I think that's the easiest way for us, is to do it like quadrennial, set goals. After Pyeongchang, it was really easy setting up the new goal, and that was to win the gold medal here in Beijing. So we'll have to talk about it, though.
But with that, Oskar, so your goal, you set it as, okay, we got to step up that podium one more time. I remember that real well. Yeah. But I guess incrementally, like, it's good to set one goal like that 4 years into the future, but you've got to build to that. How do you do that as a team?
Yes, look, some like few goals every season, result-wise, and then individually as well, like how to get there. Like you can easily say we want to win gold, but how do you do the trip to get there and to be the best you?
Right.
when you're there.
Yeah, and I think that's
So-
really important for the young people that are going to watch this that we're talking, and to understand all you've won.
Yeah.
Like how does that happen? How is it possible to do that? And the goal setting is very important, I think.
It is.
Okay, the season. Let's talk about the curling season, because it starts very early and goes very late now.
Yep.
And there's 4-person curling, and then mixed doubles you're involved in. And I guess my point, because I want to talk about what I see coming into the future in curling too, and how you're going to be able to deal with your schedule and with your health as you play more and more. What's your schedule like, and is it too much?
Sometimes it feels like it's too much, but that's what it takes also, I think, to be the best. I wish we could just pick here and there what we want to play, but maybe we won't make points enough to be in the biggest tournaments and making sure we're in great form going into the championships. So it's a little bit give and take, and some tournaments are not as fun to play, and your motivation is not as high, but well, that brings the big tournaments to even more fun. So yeah.
Right. This is something that we talk about quite a lot on our podcast, and we talk about it off ice a fair amount. And that's when we look at Canadian curling. You've got the Canada Cup, and then you've got Brier, Scotties, and so on. And then when you look at World Curling Federation curling, Europeans, of course, and World Championships. But I think, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on a middle road type of with players events, the Grand Slams. It's the best against the best.
Yeah.
If 9 teams from one country are in the top 16, those 9 are all in that event because it's just purely best against the best. But a World Cup type format where we pick a country, it doesn't matter. South Korea women, strong. But you're maybe only allowed 2 teams from that country, depending on how you jig up and then you have maybe 3 teams from Canada and 2 from here, 2 from there. And it's not just like a world championship where 1 team comes from each country and kind of it's like half the field's really strong and half isn't. You don't need to say that, I do, but it's true. Whereas and then the Grand Slams are different because it's all best against the best. But a World Cup would be, if you have a strong program, you get to have 2 or 3 teams in it.
Yeah.
But if you have 1 really strong team, they're in it. But with that, then expands the schedule even more.
It would be
thoughts on that World Cup type idea?
They tried it, World Curling, but I only think they had 1 team per nation. It was like 8 teams total, if I remember it correctly.
Right. I'm definitely thinking something different.
Yeah, so
no question.
If like you said, if you can have 2 or 3 from a couple of nations, that would make it really tough and a lot of games, but also good competition, which the great teams like.
Right,
So,
and my thinking is in case of places like Sweden where you guys are just so strong, and Anna Hasselborg is so strong. The young teams coming up are very good.
Yep.
Great teams. Not a lot different than Scotland with Bruce Mowat,
Yep.
and then Ross Patterson, and of course Ross White in behind. But in this case, they can also get to championships. Right now, they can't because you're too good, and Anna's too good, and Bruce is too good.
Yeah.
And it really holds, or in my opinion, really holds back the younger kids. So a World Cup type thing might help them.
it could definitely do that. We still got, on the women's side, Rano's team. They're here, Rasmus's younger sister, doing slams, doing better and better every year, challenging Anna's team. So then on the men's side, we finished 9th in the Swedish Championship a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
So we got a few teams coming up. So hopefully they can start doing good results on the tour and challenge us. And
Perfect. Christopher Sundgren couldn't finish the Worlds.
Nope.
And so just kind of I get a lot of messages. What's going on, and is he going to be okay? Can he play here at the Players or at the Champions Cup, or like what's going on with Christopher?
Something in his hip. I'm not really sure like all the words in English for it, but something in his hip pocket socket, like pushing the nerve. So in some position, it really hurts, like shooting pain down his leg. So when he's sliding, when he's sweeping, doesn't really feel good for him. So we'll see about if he can play this week. We've been talking a little bit about it, if he can play lead rocks and then just judge 4 rocks and then be in the house. That's one way we could do it, to have all 4 on the ice, just to make sure we have 4 or 2 sweepers for my shots and Nicholas's shots.
Okay, so Daniel's not coming.
No, we couldn't afford that, so he had to go home.
So he went home. That was another question I was going to ask. Okay, so yeah, you're 5th at the Worlds and the Olympics. Yeah, he's not coming to the players.
No.
So Christopher's here, and then you'll deal with it that way.
So do you want to play, Kevin? Want to play lead rocks and do some sweeping?
Christopher's hip is better than my hip. Yeah. Well, mine's actually pretty good now. It's made of metal, so we're 100% now. I don't want to dive into this too much, but there's so much talk about the ice and the rocks at the World Championships last week. We have to talk about it a little bit from your side of things. So I was behind the sheets. I was there all week watching, and so there was a lot of people shot 100% during the week. But in the final, things were tricky, at least to a certain degree. Kind of maybe walk me through the week, if things maybe changed from the start to the end, or what your thoughts were.
I started off a little bit tricky, as always in the championship, like fresh ice, new set of rocks. And we are slow starters, so that's the good thing with long championships for us. 12 games in round robin. First few games, like the first weekend, was a little bit tricky. We couldn't really figure out what happened to the rocks and the ice. Yes, misread a couple of shots. So after that, we said, yes, try to make more shots, figure out the ice, and it got a little bit better Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then the longer the week gone on, we could start seeing like tracks on the ice, and it was getting more and more like a half pipe. So coming around corner guards from the inside was a little bit tougher. Like in the beginning, we had maybe 5 to 6 feet going to the middle and 4 to 5 to the wings. But in the end, we had closer to 3 feet going to the wings and still 6 feet going to the middle.
So it was dished, like a half pipe.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So made it tough if you were behind. But then all the new rules, 5-rock rule we've had for a couple of years now, and then no-tick rule gave you the chance to come back in games. You could also see that. A couple of line scores that were surprises. Like we lost a 4-point lead against Switzerland early on. Switzerland lost the 4-point lead the game after to Gushu. So everything could happen out there.
So no tick. Let's just go there. So for people that don't know, it was a trial put on by the World Curling Federation in both the women's worlds and the men's worlds, and that's any rock on the center line. The opposition could not move it off the center line until after the 5th rock of the end.
Yeah.
Do you think that made a difference, and to what degree?
It did make a difference for sure. We're not a team that usually play tick shots early in games. Mostly in like the last 2 ends if we're ahead, which happens sometimes. But as you say, like you can't remove it. So even if a missed shot clicks the guard, just okay, that shot is gone. They have all the pressure on you now. So it was different and made it a little bit difficult, but gave the chances to the teams chasing the game.
Right. So if we look at it from the I guess the sports, looking at it from curling and from the fans, a positive or negative?
We'll see about that. Got to let the fans have their voice heard and see if they liked it more. Scoreboards up and down, like big comebacks, some runovers as well. So we'll see if they liked it more. But for me, it was okay. Still managed to win. So
I think you're playing that here again this week as well.
We are. So it's good practice last week.
Yeah, for the players, exactly. Okay, and this is I think this is an important one. The length of events, because it takes a long time in curling for us to crown the champ.
Yeah,
I don't know why. Like in the case of the world's 13 teams, and it took almost 13 days, almost 13 days to crown the champ. And I just, you watch golf tournaments, and there are some long events in other sports, but for the most part, you want to get in and battle, crown the champ, and carry on to depends whatever it is you're doing. If it's a sport like curling where it's an event sport, you get on to the next event. Is there some way that maybe you and Nick have talked about where like how do we squish the events a little bit more? Because at the end of the day, you need a gold medalist, silver medalist, bronze medalist in events like that, or you need champion, runner up, third and fourth. Is there no way we can do this quicker?
I think we can. Like all the tour events are like that, quicker. Like half week, just a weekend. Slams are nowadays from Tuesday to Sunday. But then the playoffs are spread out more. So the first half of the tournament is really quick. So I know, yes, our team makes it like have better results when the tournaments are longer. I think we're just better at the more time we get, the better we get to read the ice and get the feel for the rocks and be more precise at the end of the week. So for us, it wouldn't be better at the start, but it would be a great thing also to learn to be better and to read the ice as fast as possible.
Yeah, when I'm just looking at it from Gen Zers and millennials, anything long, a game this long, an event that's long, anything that's long, I just don't think that appeals to that age of person in the world, and I really worry about that with our events being too long. I really think we need to shorten the game up to always 8 ends, shorten up the event, crown that champ quicker, and then go to the next country, because curling is growing so fast worldwide. Is that something you see when you travel to wherever, like Asia or into all over Europe or North America, U.S., incredible growth? Do you see that from your side of things when you're competing?
Yeah, a little bit. Like it feels like it's growing. Even in Sweden, it's growing a little bit, and all the countries you mentioned already. So I think you're right with shortening the games and tournaments too. It would be great. We're gonna see more champions for sure. It's gonna be more spread out, just like the tour. But then if you go back to World Championships, Olympics, Brier, Canada Cup, all that, you have pretty much the same champions over and over again. Like in Canada, how many champions have you had over the last 8 years?
Exactly.
It's 3 teams.
Right.
So if you have shorter tournaments, you get to see more or different champions, I think. Like if you have a 4-day competition, anyone can win.
Oskar, before we go, the whole idea of like you've got a fan base of millions around the world. And so many people, we're talking about you flying overnight and then coming because the direct flight's too much money. But so for people wondering about sponsorship and the business side of curling for your team in Sweden, like what kind of, like I don't say the numbers, but just is it a vast amount of money? Like what's Team Nik Edin look like financially?
It's not as good as people think, for sure. We're really lucky we have the Swedish Olympic Association and Swedish Curling covering a lot of expenses for us. Sponsor-wise, we don't have a lot. And winnings, we got to do good at slams and tour events. We wish we could make some money by winning Olympics and gold medals from World Championships, but that's not the way it is right now.
Okay, so Olympic gold in Sweden, it's not like an amount of money that just comes to you for winning that gold medal for your country?
No, it's not. Like the money we get is based on results. So the money the Swedish Olympic Committee gives us over the 4-year quadrennial, or how to explain it. So if we do good, we get money spread out over the 4 years, covering events, hotels, flights, so we can afford competing.
Right, but that's just expenses, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, and then is it are you? So I don't want to go in somewhere where I shouldn't, and just shut me down. But as far as like working, would you be almost looked at as you work for the country kind of thing? Like, is it a monthly sort of a check comes that way? Like, I just don't understand. It's the way it worked for us.
Yeah.
Oskar, you get a certain amount of airtime. You do your certain amount of minutes on air. Your sponsors then, depending on how much airtime you get, they pay X amount. And then more and more, and as like you guys, when you're really, really popular, the sponsorships are worth a great deal because of how popular you are and how much time you have on air and digital as well. But maybe it does not work like that in Sweden.
In one way, it works a little bit like that. Like if we're not on TV on the championships, it's tough for sponsors to give us money and say, "Oh, here you go," because you're on TV somewhere else, or you're showing Canadian games when we're in the slams, and those games are not showed on Swedish television. So, but it's growing. Like the championships, Europeans and Worlds and Olympics, it's getting more and more broadcasted in Sweden, which is good. So hopefully that will show us a little bit more, and hopefully that can generate more money and sponsorships.
Yeah, hopefully that can grow for the next group coming up too, like the younger ones that are coming up. Because, in my opinion, it's really hard to attract young people to a sport at the high level if they can't see a real reward at the end of the time. And
you're right.
At least with my personality, and when you're trying to choose in Canada, do you want to be Gretzky? Or do you want to be whatever sport you want to be? And you look to that athlete as a hero, and you want to be that. And it's a lot easier to go that direction if you think, well, there's a big pot of gold at the end of that rainbow as a kid.
Yeah, you're right. Let's hope it gets there for curling as well. Right now, it's not there for us, but we try as hard as we can. And the sport is so much bigger here in Canada than it is back in Sweden, but it's growing. So all we can do is work hard for it, and hopefully, even if it doesn't happen for us, it could happen for the next generation.
For your play, I want to hear about, because you also won the bronze medal in mixed doubles at the Olympic Games, and you and I talked about before this when we were just chatting about just health and being able, like you're as fit as people can be, but when you travel so much, play so many sports, sweeping all the time, travel in an airplane, sleeping in awkward positions. Is Oskar Eriksson going to continue to play mixed doubles, continue to do both? What's going on with you going forward in the next 4 years?
I need to have a breather this summer and just relax, reflect on everything that happened the last 4 years, and then start planning the next 4 years. And I don't think mixed doubles is going to be a priority the first year. Maybe if 1 or 2 tournaments would fit my schedule and our team schedule, it's a possibility. But I think for next year, it's a break from the mixed doubles. But who knows? Getting closer to that Olympics and getting a chance to win one more medal, it's always motivation.
Yeah, no doubt, motivation. Well, congratulations on the year so far. Good luck at the Players Champions Cup. Thanks a lot for taking the time.
Thank you.